Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of June 19th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record button. As always, thank you for press that record. Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. NASCAR means National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing. But are Jeff Gordon's and Dale Jr.'s racers really one-size-fits-all models, like in retail showrooms? When I come back, I'll tell you what's stock and what's not.
O'Reilly. Pick up Peak Long Life Universal Pre-Mixed Antifreeze and Coolant for $8.99 a gallon after mail-in rebate at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Protect against damaging rust and corrosion with Peak Pre-Mixed Coolant, now $8.99 a gallon after mail-in rebate at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Celebrities wouldn't be caught dead with off-the-rack clothes, but racers have no choice when it comes to their on-the-track cars. When constructing race cars for NASCAR competition, builders must follow the physical dimensions for each make of car to the inch. So on race day, all Chevys have the exact same dimensions, as do all Fords and all Pontiacs. In fact, measurements are taken 3 times per weekend per car and are comprised of over 30 different size checks. But the stock in NASCAR stops there. Teams design custom engines for competitive advantage. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us? You'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Butcher, baker, candlestick maker. What do you want to be when you grow up? Put on your thinking cap/crash helmet, because when I zoom back, I'll tell you which professions are best and worst behind the wheel.
O'Reilly.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts during Clean Car Month for great deals on everything you need to keep your car looking new, like Armor All Protectant, now $4.99 for a 16-ounce bottle. Renew, revitalize, and protect your vehicle with Armor All Protectant for $4.99 during Clean Car Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Sure, you trust your doctors in the operating behind the wheel? Not so good, according to recent data collected over 18 months from Quality Planning Corporation. In fact, physicians rank number 2 in the top 5 most accident-prone professions, followed by lawyers, architects, and real estate agents, with a dubious distinction of first place in the crash test going to students. So, which occupations cruise with the fewest wrecks? Farmers, firemen, pilots, and politicians make the list, but it's topped by homemakers. Here's to the hands that rock the cradle and rule the road. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. America's flag waves red, white, and blue and stands for freedom. Well, the banners of racing sport colors and brandish messages of their own. And when we come back, I'll run them up the flagpole.
O'Reilly.
Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today and pick up 5 quarts of Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil for $27.95 and earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Protect your engine from sludge and wear with Mobil 1 full synthetic motor oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Just like Old Glory, the flags of racing have colors and messages too, and they're waved to communicate with drivers. Like on streetlights, green flags mean go. Yellow means caution and slow down, and red means stop the race. Blue flags tell contenders to let the faster driver overtake, and white says 1 lap to go. Racers' favorite flag? The checkered flag is black and white and marks the finish line. Interestingly, the first checkered flag waved in 1890 was actually a tablecloth. It may have signaled the end of an impromptu Italian contest, but it was the beginning of a tradition. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Who travels 500 miles but never farther than 100 yards? Another clue? Most visit hundreds of banks, but when counting cash, some get little, several get more, and a few get very rich. The answer? When I come back.
O'Reilly.
If your wiper blades are worn and streaking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and save $8 instantly on a pair of Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Improve visibility and save money with Rain-X Latitude wiper blades. Plus, take advantage of our free wiper blade installation. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
In 500 miles on the oval track, drivers completing a race go round hundreds of banks. So ever wonder how a racer's bucks stack up? Well, drivers of different experience levels are paid different ways. First-year rookies receive salaries and small percentages of the race purse. Veteran drivers not only bank larger salaries, they also pocket up to half of the race winnings. In most forms of racing, drivers who've been champion make at least $2 million a year, and multiple championships ka-ching up to $5 million. Bottom line in racing, practice makes perfect, and some drivers very wealthy. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Woo, it's hot in here. Better open a window, or should I crank the AC? Windows up or windows down? Place your bets. We'll see which one's the winner when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Window up or window down? What's the best bet for keeping your cool and your cash during hot summer drives? According to the Automotive Aftermarket Suppliers Association, both hit the jackpot, depending on how fast your wheels are spinning. At both freeway speeds and bumper-to-bumper crawls, cooler, quieter cabins reduce fatigue and help drivers stay alert. So, windows up. And if you're highway cruising, aerodynamically reducing drag can improve gas mileage. So, windows up. But if you're stuck in stop-and-go traffic, aerodynamics are out the window. So it's more economical if you roll down to cool off. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, live via ABC Radio Satellite Services. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you, Marty White. Good morning, folks. Welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And for all you fathers out there, I'll give you an early, just a day early, happy Father's Day. And I'll say that to myself. I have two beautiful daughters that unfortunately do not live near me. That one is in Virginia and one is in St. Louis. So as a result, I always provide for them automotive care and AAA memberships and all those things that keep them safe on the road. And no doubt they're sort of savvy on how to maintain your automobile. It's just in their blood, obviously. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Power Frame Grid Technology. Folks, batteries may all look the same on the outside, but it's what's inside that really matters. Power Frame Grid Technology has been tested to be more durable and provide superior cranking power. You can learn more about the Power Frame Grid Technology where? At powerframe.com. And this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. At O'Reilly Auto Parts, you get better parts, better prices every day. They have the parts you need to get the job done right. And the stores are stocked with high-quality parts and accessories at guaranteed low prices. And I got to say, their well-trained professionals are standing by, ready to help whenever you need information about the repairs and repair parts for your car. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Your calls when I come back, 888-227-2546. Like us, you'll love us.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. The next time your car needs a new battery, choose one with Power Frame Grid technology inside. It's engineered with confidence to be 66% more durable than other grid designs and provide you with true strength every time you need it. Look for Power Frame on the outside for true strength on the inside. Visit Advance Auto Parts or CarQuest for a battery with Power Frame Grid technology or learn more at powerframe.com. That's powerframe.com. Here's an email from a car clinic listener. David writes, "What's the amber light on my dash? It looks like a cork pointing at an angle to a picture on the side of the car. This light has been on and off for about a year now, and I think it's time I check it out." Well, David, no time like the present. The light indicates a detected failure that could allow gasoline fumes to evaporate into the air, costing you money in lost fuel and polluting the air. Most common failure that trips the light? A small evap leak, or in other words, loose fuel cap. Besides being tight, the cap must also be in good condition. Fuel caps don't last forever, and poor quality caps don't work well from the beginning. Stant makes a large line of fuel caps that will last a very long time and ensure proper sealing of the system. Stant fuel caps are the only aftermarket caps to include all the safety features of the original equipment cap. Visit Stant.com or ask your local parts store for a Stant gas cap by name.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. Thank you, JT, and thank you, Marty. It was Marty White, our announcer that's been around for a long time. It's the best $100 I ever spent. That's some 25 years ago. A local celebrity, really terrific individual on the radio. I called him. I said, Marty, would you do our opening and closing for us? And remember that, John? John Thielen, who was sitting in the studio as well, or actually in the control room. And Marty said, sure, I'll do that. And so I paid him. Oh, you don't owe me anything, he says. We're friends. I said, well, here's $100. And some 25 years later, every time I see him, he said, that's the best $100 you ever spent. Okay, let's get started. We're going to go to George first, and then we're going to go in Pennsylvania, and then we're going to go to Michigan and talk with Jim, and then we're going to take your calls. We have another Jim calling in, and then I have some information as we can fit it in. I don't have an agenda other than I want to share with you. So a couple of exchanges I had with a gentleman that came to the service desk yesterday afternoon with a problem with his automobile, and he had the extended warranty coverage, and he said, oh, it's covered, just go ahead and fix it. And I said, well, no, it doesn't work that way. Okay, George from Pennsylvania, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Yes, I have a 2005 Buick LaCrosse.
Yes, sir.
79,000 miles. I just purchased it recently, and the other day I started up and I turned the steering wheel all the way to the right, and I put it in gear, and it wouldn't move. And you could tell the transmission tried to. So I was wondering, then I straightened it out, and it was all right. I was wondering if that's normal or not.
Well, no. I mean, you turned it all the way to the right. Turning the steering wheel should have nothing to do with the transmission engaging in gear, except that the gear shift is on the steering column, and that could have a linkage. It could. If I were to put the two together, what's common? And that's what I look for, George. When I'm trying to answer and put things together through our telephone communication. So the only thing that I could think of that would be common to those two, the steering and the transmission, are the fact that the lever is mounted on the transmission column, and the fact that you straighten it back out. Now, let me understand. You had it in park, and you turned the wheel to the right, and then you took it out of park and put it in gear, and the gear shift moved, but the transmission would not go, and then you put it. Then you straightened the wheel out, and then it went, or did you move the linkage back to park and straighten the wheel out? I mean,
no, I just straightened the wheel out a little, and then it started to move. But you could tell the transmission tried to move the wheels.
Well, my concern is that it just so happened that you had the wheel turned, and in the length of time that it took you to straighten the wheel out, the transmission came alive. So I don't really think that turning the wheel had anything to do. In fact, I'd be willing to bet on it that it's more inside a transmission. Now, a quick question: has this happened again?
No, I don't turn the wheel all the way like I did that day.
Oh.
I was standing still, and I.
Mm-hmm. Well, you gotta reach. you gotta go to the dark side. You gotta try it. You gotta turn the wheel and see if that affects it, because I really don't think that had anything to do with it. If it does, then it could be a linkage problem. It'd be very simple. And here's the point. You don't go there, but there may be a situation where you're parking the car, or something comes up that you don't have that option. So I would highly recommend that you try to duplicate that condition, and here's the reason why. I mean, and let's face it, if you were able to work around that one time, you should be able to work around it again. It is my theory that you won't be able to duplicate it. And therein lies the real challenge, because when you go to a local shop, and that's where I'm going to send you, there in Pennsylvania, to a local shop, for them to inspect the linkages, you have to show them what it's doing. Otherwise, it's the typical, well, here's the keys, here's my car, it's doing this, then the technician drives, well, it's okay now. I mean, which it is. So in order for you to convey exactly what your car is doing that you don't like, which is it didn't go that time when you had the wheel cut, is to duplicate that to a technician. And then you and that technician are on the same page, and the dollars you spend to correct it can be verified, because that technician knows how to make it not work, and therefore, after repair, knows how to test it to see if the repair was thorough or not. So again, let me back up. I'd like for you to duplicate that and see if you can duplicate it. If you cannot, then I recommend you have the transmission serviced, have the fluid changed. If you can duplicate it, then take it into a service shop and show them. Say, hey, let me show you what my car is doing. Any questions?
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Take care, George. And that's a good call. It really was, folks, because that's typical of what we have in the service bays in the service shop. Is you take your car in, you talk to a service desk person, and the service desk person takes the information and gets your phone numbers and all the pertinent information, just like you go to a doctor, and then it turns that car to a technician and conveys what you told the service desk to the technician. The technician gets in the car either 10 minutes later or 2 hours later and has to duplicate and has to be on the same page as you, the owner of the car. Well, it's pretty easy if it's a flat tire, or it's pretty easy if the turn signals don't work, or the headlight's out, or the engine's misfiring. But if it's a problem that is sort of here today, gone tomorrow, it's not so easy. So that's the way you can better communicate with your local service shop. And to that end, George, what I want you to do is to go to asashop.org. And ASA is the Automotive Service Association, of which I'm a proud member and have been for years and years. And you'll find that almost all of your independent service shops, and even some dealerships and chain stores, are members of the Automotive Service Association, because there are high standards to becoming a member. And you can go to asashop.org and you can see the actual mission statement there, so that you can better understand the good news about those service shops. So that's what I would recommend, that George, and for all you folks that are tuned in across the nation, if you're trying to find a local shop and you don't have one, shame on you, but if you're new to the community, just go to asashop.org, not .com, but .org, and you could put in 5 miles, 10 miles, or 20 miles, and give you the perimeter of the service shops. But just go for the short haul, 5 miles first, and then put in your address and say, find a shop. And you'll find a shop, and then you can call those shops, talk to the owners or the service desk, and see how they communicate. See how willing they are to give you their time on the phone. And if you talk to 3 different shops, and please don't call the shop and say, how much do you charge for? That is not the way you establish a communication. Number one, you don't know what's wrong with it. Number two, they don't know what's wrong with it. And number three, which really should be number one, without proper testing, no one knows what it costs to repair anything on any car. And that's the fact. And this week, I bet we had 15 calls. If we had one that, do you do timing belts? Do I do timing belts? We perform the replacement of timing belts, yes. How much do you charge? What kind of car do you have? What's the VIN? I don't know the VIN. Well, it's like we have to have the birth certificate of the automobile. We have to know what kind of engine, what year, make, and model the car is, and the VIN has all of that information in it, and there can even be 2 different applications or 3 for the same model year car. So anytime and every time that we order a part for any of our customers' cars in our service shop, that's 45 years and running, we always have to have the VIN number or we can't order a part. Even a spark plug, because they changed the plug, like the Ford, the infamous Ford, the better idea that wasn't a better idea, with the plugs that break off. And I don't know how many of you out there have had that. I think 07, 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range, they had the extended, and it was all about emissions. And what they did, folks, is that, and for you, those of you who are car people, they put a tube onto the end of the spark plug where the threads stop. And that tube was crimped onto the end of a spark plug, and it sticks into the cylinder. And then they extended the porcelain and the rod, the electrode down into the tube so they could get the fire and start the fire deeper into the chamber. I mean, after all, if you're going to start a fire, to think of a teepee, if you're going to start a fire and you had a wooden teepee or a pyramid, you would want to start the fire in the middle so it would propagate, so it would burn evenly, and that would therefore it would spread faster. And that's exactly what happens in a combustion chamber if you can get the spark in the center of the chamber. Well, that's easier said than done. And that's why Ford made this spark plug, and that helped them pass emissions because it was more efficient. Except that tube that's exposed to the combustion chamber corroded with carbon and byproducts of a combustion chamber. So that when you unscrewed the spark plug, the tube had to pull its way out of a hole that was the size of the tube. Well, the tube had carbon on it, and when you unscrewed the plug, that end of the plug broke off and stuck in the cylinder. Bad news. Good news when I come back at 888 Car Clinic. We have Jim from Detroit, and then your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Folks, we recently had the chance to talk tires with John Robinson, Senior Communications Specialist at General Tire. John touched on a number of items, including different ways you can tell if your tires are worn to excess and need replacement.
Well, there's a couple indicators. One, right on the tire, there are tread depth indicators that will tell you when you're down to 2/32 of tread. Also, on a couple of our products, the G-Max and the Ultimax RT43, we have RTM, which is Replacement Tire Monitor, and it will actually tell you when it's time to replace your tires when the tread is worn down to 2/32 of tread. And it will say specifically replace tire. It doesn't get much easier than that. But you can also do the old traditional penny test. Look for Lincoln's head when you turn the penny over, and if you can see Lincoln's head, it is time for new tires.
General Tire is proud to introduce the new G-Max AS05 featuring smart technologies. The G-Max AS05 provides visual wear alerts, all-season performance, and longer tread life. It's truly a smarter tire for a smarter driver. Learn more about the G-Max AS05 at GeneralTire.com. We recently had an 08 Ford Expedition come into the shop, and the owner was complaining about an awful burning smell after driving the car any distance. After giving the vehicle a once-over, we found leaking valve cover gaskets which were allowing oil to run down onto the exhaust manifold. The entire engine bay was also covered with a fine film of oil from a bad power steering hose. We needed to clean everything first so we could accurately diagnose and fix the problem quickly. We used Berryman B33 engine degreaser and sprayed it onto a cool engine. We let it sit for a short time, then rinsed it off, leaving everything clean and oil-free. Once we replaced the hose and the valve cover gaskets, the Ford was ready to get back on the road. Berryman B33 engine degreaser was perfect for this job. The fast spray-on, rinse-off cycle saves time and conserves water. The product's also safe to use. Its biodegradable formula contains no harmful phosphates, solvents, abrasives, or VOCs. Learn more about Berryman B33 degreaser and other great Berryman products at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And folks, I appreciate you tuning in every Saturday from 10 to noon Eastern Time on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, watch Bobby Live. We videocast this program globally at watchbobbylive.com. I'm really proud of that because the technology that is required to do that on a real-time basis is nothing short of phenomenal. And when I say real time, we are real time. And so if you're listening to this program, and for instance, it's right now 10:25 Eastern time, a.m., and you're hearing this at a different time, it's because the station that is airing the program tape delays the program, and that happens to some of our affiliates, and that's fine. But just remember, from 10 to noon every Saturday, you can call and reach us whether or not you're listening to us on the radio or not. You can always go to your iPhone and iTunes, and there's just a myriad of ways that you can tune in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're on our 25th year, and I just thought that I knew a lot about cars, and I'm learning every day that the industry continues to change. Technical service bulletins, we have those folks. We receive 150,000 pages of technical service bulletins every month. So there's no way you could read that many pages. So we have computers and topics, and we can hone in on what we need to know for an automobile. Why is that important to you? Because when you take your car in for a check engine light and a technician starts to perform some test on that vehicle, it's called diagnostics. I don't like to use that word because it infers that once you diagnose a problem, you know what's wrong with the car, and that's not necessarily true. It's like a blood test or blood work on your body. You know what that result is, but there's still more, the x-rays and MRIs and those sorts of things. The same thing is true for your car. So there's no hooked one machine to it and tells you everything's wrong with the car. It just doesn't happen that way. Just understand that there's a series of tests, and then there are indications and reports that the car has on board, and it's called OBD2, and that's the computer that's on the car, and it's really a great system. It gets better and better all the time. We're going to take a call from South Carolina from Ken, and also I invite you, Jan will take your call, put you in a queue, and I will put you on the air at 888-227-2546. Ken, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, Bobby.
What can I do for you?
Well, my question is, I've got a 2007 Dodge 1500 heavy-duty pickup that has the 5.7 Hemi, 5.7 cubic inch Hemi engine.
Yes, sir.
And I've got a ton of miles on it. It's a work truck, and my friend has an engine that it's a 5.7 Hemi, but it has that variable timing on it.
Right.
And I was wondering if I wanted to put this engine in my truck, could I make it work, and what's the minimum things I would have to do to it to make it work?
I have a concern there because your car didn't have that particular cylinder deactivation, right? That's what you're speaking of?
Yes.
Yes. The challenge is the wiring harness for the engine and the computer. The computer that his vehicle was born with and was manufactured with is dedicated to that car, that serial number of that car. So it won't work in your car, and neither will the engine work correctly in your car because it's computer controlled. And I got to tell you, Ken, even on a good day, and we still have in the shop a Ford Focus that we had to put a computer. This car would not run, and we had to put a computer in the car, and we had to program that computer using the original Ford computer. And we can buy some computers that are already pre-programmed in aftermarket. The challenge was for this particular car, it wasn't available. So we bought from Ford Motor Company a computer, But yet, when we put it in, we had to take the original computer numbers and go to Ford Motor Company, connect this car to Ford Motor Company OEM site. And I got to tell you, Johnny Bars is our lead technician. He's our shop foreman. He's a master ASE certified automotive technician. I saw him spend 3 hours just programming that computer on that car, and it ran, it cranked, and it ran, and all is well. And lo and behold, when he finished, it had a misfire on one of the cylinders, and one of the injectors is bad. And so we still have the car in the shop, and we ordered an injector, and we're going to put it in Monday. Now, we didn't know that because it didn't run to start with. So I just have a concern that what you would do is get in way over your head. And I think that if you have a ton of miles on the engine, what I would do if it were my vehicle is I would buy either a Jasper Reman, and I'll give Jasper a plug here. I've been to their plant in Jasper, Indiana. They make good products and they have a great warranty. And I would recommend their product. And there are other companies that make engines. Or I would go to Dodge and ask what they have, if they have an engine, a crate motor. It's called a crate motor. So if the vehicle is in good shape, what is the vehicle like? I mean, you said it had a ton of miles, but the transmission, what do you think about the rest of the car?
The rest of the truck. is in great shape. Yeah. And I've also got a Chevy Avalanche with a 5.3 that had the active fuel management.
Yes, sir.
And it dropped the lifter in it, and what I did, in fact, the Chevrolet mechanic recommended that I change the cam and the lifters and just
yes, sir.
reprogram the computer, and I did that, and that engine runs fine. And I was wondering if there was some kind of similar thing you could do to the Dodge.
Not that I know of. Well, yeah, but see, you changed cam and lifters, so you took away that function, but you didn't change any of the timing of the engine, or you didn't change the computer because it was with the car. So it's my concern that you would put an engine from another vehicle that has a technical advancement that yours doesn't, but then you're short on wires and you're short on, and it won't match. So I think that you should stick with what you have. You've got a lot of miles out of it. So if the vehicle is in good shape, then it would be worthy of you spending dollars to replace or and you can have that engine, the very engine that's in that vehicle, you can send it if you can have a downtime. And they'll remanufacture that engine to like new specs, and that's where the difference between rebuilding and remanufacturing. Remanufacturing means that all of the parts are refitted to the original size, shape, and surface of a new engine. So that's what I would do. If I were in your shoes, I would stick with what I had and update it versus trying to make someone else's engine fit into my truck with not knowing exactly. You had a good experience with your Chevrolet, but you didn't change engines. You just changed a component in the engine. Any questions?
Right. No, and I appreciate the advice, Bob.
I thank you. I am trying to talk you out of it, of course. You know.
Okay. Well, you have.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, let me know if I can help you again. You feel free to call, and thank you so much for calling from South Carolina, Ken.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. 888 Car Clinic is the number for you to call. 888-227-2546. We'll go to Nebraska. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yeah, Bobby?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jim Cutterback here.
Good morning,
Kearney,
sir.
Nebraska. I talked with you here at KGFW one time when you was here for the ethanol thing.
Yes. That was 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I was a state senator, and you said you never had a state senator come to your program. Anyway,
now I've had twice. That's twice we've had a state senator, Jim. Welcome back.
There you go. Yeah. So you remember? I don't know if you know Paul Kenny or not. Remember, he's the ethanol here at Kappa.
Yeah, I do.
In Kearney.
I do. Ethan, I know his son, and Ethan and Chuck Woodside. All of the guys there.
Hey, you're good. The Marshalls, you know all those people.
I talked to Mr. Marshall 2 weeks ago. I sure did. And in fact, I'm working on something to help him. But anyway, what can I do for you, Jim?
I just got me a 2016 Jeep, and it's a Grand Cherokee. And Paul Kenny had a special on Kappa ethanol for 85 cents a gallon, which is a buy. He had that for 3 or 4 hours at a station down here, a popular station.
Okay.
So I thought I was going to get me a good deal, so I drove down. I filled my my Grand Cherokee up and drove it for a while, and not realizing that the Grand Cherokee I have does not run on flex fuel. I put about 20 gallons in it. And so I drove to Omaha to have supper with a former U.S. Senator Friday evening, and boom, 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 it almost quit on me about 100 times. What is, to make a long story short, what happens eventually? Does that eventually work out, or does that hurt the engine? Or
Yes, sir, it won't hurt it. It will work out. What happens is that a flex fuel has a rather unique capability, technologically speaking, of determining how much ethanol is in the fuel and will adjust the air-fuel ratio. So that's the main difference between a flex fuel car and a non-flex fuel car. And in fact, originally, those cars had a sensor, but that sensor was like $276, and the manufacturer says, well, we don't want to do that. So they came up with another methodology. When you fill the tank, every time you fill the tank on a flex fuel car, it will start over again in measuring the air-fuel ratio of the fuel, and so it uses algorithms, and it's a unique process. Now, back to yours. Now that you burned the fuel out of it, you can go back to the E15, and that the engine will get over it. It will cure itself out because it didn't like the E85 because it can't handle the fact that it leans out the mixture. You know, in other words, ethanol has oxygen in it, so when you use a higher portion of ethanol to gas, that leans out the mixture. And when it does, the catalytic converter says, well, and the O2 sensor says, well, I've got a lean mixture, and the engine is made to richen up. But you're trying to make that engine work outside of a parameter that it's not designed to run from a computer basis. It's all in the computer tuning, and so I would say to you that there's no harm, no foul. Just go ahead and how much of that fuel did you burn out already?
Well, I burned out quite a bit of it, but I did put some regular gas in it, but I suppose it still got, a portion of that E85 in there yet.
Well, not a problem. Just continue to burn that tank out and dilute that 85 with 15, and you'll be fine. That should be no problem whatsoever, sir.
It really bucked. I mean, it just like it was going to die, and just bucked and bucked and bucked.
Yeah, it did.
Anyway, kind of nerve-wracking. Hey, I appreciate you. You ever get to Kearney on cruise night? Why, you're always welcome. Brad Koenig has open arms.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate you again, and I look forward to seeing you when next I get out to Kearney, Nebraska. Thanks and good luck, and let me know how your G works. Thanks. Have a great day, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
How interesting, and what a gentleman. We did have a great time there, and KGFW is our affiliate in Kearney. And we were inside the studio. They've got a unique, it's like a big open room, and then they have studios that are elevated. And I bet there were 150 people in there. We had just a great time. And then the Kearney Central Nebraska a car club has their show, and we had a couple of guys reporting from there. I'm going to come back and take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Don't touch that dial. Dear Bobby, while traveling, my 08 Subaru needed to have a tire replaced due to a puncture. I could not find the exact tire and used an off-brand instead. Different brand, but same size. Could this cause problems for my all-wheel drive vehicle? Tire diameter is critical, especially on all-wheel drive vehicles. Using the same size from different manufacturers can create enough of a difference to be an issue, even with just one tire. Not to mention the differences in tread wear levels. The vehicle could shudder on turns. It could even damage the all-wheel drive system. In some vehicles, the all-wheel drive system becomes disabled and won't work at all. Vehicle manufacturers state the concern about mismatched tires and diameter differences through their service departments and technical service bulletins. Some vehicle manufacturers actually require replacement tires in sets of 4 to help avoid any issues. Buying off-brand tires can also be a problem because not all brands have nationwide coverage. This is just one of the reasons we recommend General Tire so frequently, as they're available coast to coast. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We'll go straight to the phones. I will give you the number. That would help. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Randy from Oregon, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning, Randy. You're on the air.
Okay, yeah, I have a question about a 2014 Toyota Tundra.
Okay.
I don't drive it very often. I drive it probably every 3 to 5 weeks, and usually longer trips when I am driving it.
Right.
And I want to know what I could do to save the integrity of the engine and moving parts by not driving it as much the way I do.
Well, I would definitely use synthetic oil in the engine.
Yes.
You do not have to use any additives, but I would definitely use synthetic oil. Mobil One synthetic is one of the synthetic oils that we use in our shop. And but the brand that you choose, of course, is your choice. But that's easily available, and you can find it anywhere. I would change the oil in that vehicle. How many miles you put on it? Less than 6,000 or 7,000 a year?
Probably about that.
You can change the oil one time a year, actually. You'll have to use a really good filter. So I would use a Mobil One filter as well.
Okay.
There are some white box filters, and then there's some. There's a like everything else. There's the silver, the platinum, the gold. The copper.
Right.
The mud. I mean, not that they make a mud filter, but so I would start by the filter. Let's see what else. I would change the fluids in that vehicle every 2 years or 30,000 miles. For you, it's not going to be 30,000 miles because that will take you 5 years or 4 years. So I would change the fluid. Brake fluid is one of the, it's hydroscopic, so it absorbs moisture, and that will cause the pistons to stick, and that's something that you don't think about. I'm trying to give you items that you just, that aren't, top of mind.
Right. No, that's good.
Let's see, what else?
And would it do me? I mean, should I be getting out there every week and starting it up, or?
Only if you're going to drive the vehicle, or only if you're going to run it for 20 minutes. You do more damage to start it and say, well, it starts and runs well, and you run it for a couple of minutes, and that's a long time to wait, while something is warming up. So I would not necessarily start it. I have a classic. You may have heard me speak of my classic Porsche.
Sure.
And I started that car recently for the first time in 3 months. I do keep it's called an Extreme. and it's made by Pulse Tech, and it is a computerized battery monitor that monitors the condition of the battery and then charges it only if it needs it. And in the meantime, it has a pulsating current that keeps the calcium, the plates, clean. And that's worked for me. But see, I don't drive this vehicle. I've put 1,300 miles on it since December of '04. So, so literally, I do not drive it. It's a classic car, and I want to keep it that way. But I am concerned about the very same thing. So when I crank it up, I'll crank it and run it for no less than 20 minutes. And the last time I cranked it, I ran it for 45 minutes and drove it because it needed gas, and I went up and got gas. And I'm kind of torn there because I should keep the tank 95% filled with a stabilizer, because that's standard procedure for storage, long-term storage. But when I do that, sometimes I don't drive the car for 2 years, and that's too long to have gas in there. So now after so many years, I've switched over to putting about 8 gallons, 10 gallons in it. And the only challenge there, of course, is that the gas tank is vented because it's an 80 model. It doesn't have the evap system on it, so there could be condensation on the walls in the tank. And if so, I'll cross that bridge if and when it happens. It's phase separation is really not an issue, and I do run ethanol, and it's an 80 model, and I still use E10 because it's easy to get, and because there's no real downside to that. In fact, the tank will run drier with ethanol because ethanol will suspend moisture and gasoline will not. It'll just fall to the bottom. Let's see, for you, let's see what. That's a good question. I thought about last couple of days about writing a book on mileage intervals and what you don't know that the factory doesn't list. But what you do need to get the owner's manual out and look through your 5,000, 15,000, whatever those monitors are. And there's for items, Randy, there's an I or an R on a graph.
Replace or inspect.
Exactly, and replace or inspect. We have a customer, and I have to share this with you because one of my favorite vehicles is a Tundra. We have a customer that has 365,000 miles on his Tundra. And the engine has never been in. We've never been into the engine. We use synthetic oil since it was new. Pardon me. We put one transmission in that vehicle at 298,000 miles, and we because it was expensive, we called around to a friend of mine is in the transmission business, and he said, Bobby, he said, I've never even overhauled one of those. They just don't give trouble. And I talked to our parts guy at the dealer. Come to find out, of all of the Tundras that we knew of, or the people that I called that know because they're in that parts business, no more than 6 transmissions were known to have failed over a period of, and I don't know what year this is, probably an 08 or 09. So you do have, yours is a V8, that's right?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the engine's bulletproof. It really is. So change the fluids.
Yes.
You want to, it's a 14. At one point in time, you want to change the tires, not because they're going to wear out, but because they're going to be more than 6 or 7 years old. And you just look for cracks. If you store it inside, of course, it lasts a lot longer. Surface care is a big issue, and that's probably going to be more to do for you. That vehicle should be waxed every 6 months.
Oh, okay, even indoors. I keep it clean, but I haven't necessarily waxed it every 6 months.
Well, what kind of cleaning do you use on it? What kind of soap?
I couldn't tell you the name of it. It's from a good auto.
You use car wash?
It's I do not take it to the car wash. I handle
No, I know. But I mine too. But you do use car wash, not soap.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Car wash. And,
they
all the proper car products.
Yeah, they make a car wash that has some wax in it. And they make regular car wash, and I bought I bought one of each actually the last time I bought wax or a car wash, and it just so happened that one of the waxes left some spots, and I rinse, and I'm an avid, and I detail my car. It takes me 2 hours to detail my
that's
car.
Quick.
And and my car is I clean under the hood, I hose under the hood, I wash the front area, and those sorts of things. I wash the doors. When I dry it, I will take my chamois and I will run it along the rubber weather strips of the bottom side of the doors. And if they're black that comes off, then that tells me that I should have done that. So I think what you're doing is on the right track. There are no surprises that I know of that you'll get wiper blades, once a year, only because they rest. I don't know how wiper blades stand up as well as they do anyway, because they curve because they have the spring pressure at rest.
Yes, that's true.
And so wiper blades will keep that windshield cleaner, and you can use soft scrub. The Jim, our car cleaner reporter, just mentioned a wire, but I don't use that. I use a regular.
Sounds harsh. I don't know.
Well, it is. Here's what will work on the windshields and the windows. You can, while you're washing the car, you can take Bon-Ami or soft scrub, and you can put it on a standard sponge, not a sponge that has grit on it, but a standard sponge, and you can scrub vigorously any window of a car, and you scrub it, and then you run the water, and if the water sheets off versus beads off, then that window is clean. And then you take isopropyl alcohol and put on a paper towel, and I do this. Isopropyl alcohol, put on a paper towel before you finish the car, and stroke the wipers, because you'll get that black oxidized rubber off the wipers.
Yeah.
And otherwise, when you turn them on, you're just putting the road debris and grit and grime and oil from the wipers that has collected from the window back onto the clean window.
Right back on.
Yeah. So those are things. Those are things that you can do. And one last thing, I use a large battery, small blower.
Okay.
To dry my wheels. And to dry my. And I wish I'd known this 25 years ago, to dry the door jambs. And if you looked at my car, not right now because I just came back from a road trip this week, but my car is the dirtiest it's ever been because I was in the wet weather in South Florida today as we speak. But when I wash my car, I wash it thoroughly. I wash it from the top down. I wash the fender wells on the inside. I open the hood, and there's some catch areas underneath the hood where water and dirt and debris have gotten into the engine area down under. You couldn't see it unless you looked down in there, but I hose that down. And then I take my blower, and I had to get a bigger battery because one wouldn't last, and I blow the car 90% dry, and then I use my special I have towels that I bought from Zano. In fact, let me give you in closing, because we've got to go to Dan. Okay. Go to just Google Zano, Zaino, and they have special cloths that have no beading on the cloth, because a bead will hold and scratch the surface of a vehicle. And I'm kind of anal about it, I admit that, but I truly do enjoy driving a spotlessly clean automobile, and it's just fun, yeah. Hey, thank you so much.
You bet. Could I just, you were starting to say about drying the wheels, is that because of the brakes and the rust? That because if you just wash it and back it back into the garage?
Oh, you can't do that. I'm sorry. Thank you. After you finish with the car, when I finish the car, I drive mine. I live on a cul-de-sac, and I drive it down the hill to the cul-de-sac, make a U-turn. Well, it's actually a road that turns to the right, but it's a big round area. And so I ride the brakes. So I'll drive my car a half a block with the brakes on to dry the wheels, because in my Viper, the wheels, the rotors would rust, and ultimately they would stick to the pads, and I actually had a pad that was pulled off of its mount because of that. And so now with every car, including the little smart car that my wife drives, when I finish the car, I ride it around the block and scrub the brakes to dry the brakes. That is a must do, and I'm glad you mentioned that. But you use the blower to dry the wheels. Otherwise, you'd have to spoke by spoke. Too much time.
Yeah, too much time. I understand.
Yeah.
No, hey, thanks for all those tips.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I enjoyed that, and I've often thought about doing a video of cleaning my car, and maybe I'll do that between 2 and 4 in the morning when I have time. Okay. Great. Thanks, Randy.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. Take care. Let's take a call from Dan. Dan, thanks for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm from Pensacola, too.
Well, cool.
Matter of fact, I sat with you several years ago at a restaurant. But anyway, let me get real quick. That last thing you did was very, very informative. That was quite a good talk you did.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's something that I found
fantastic.
Yeah, I found to be essential. And Dan, I actually spent so much time that we are short of time. I've got another hour coming up. But what's your question? Let me see if I can help you.
Real quick, I'm retired, and I got an old 2000 GMC Yukon, and just recently the air conditioner's gone out, and the brake pedal goes about halfway down. It still stops the car, but it's real spongy.
Right.
And my question is there a brake cylinder? Most likely. I had the brakes replaced last year. And then on the air conditioner, can you, like you see on TV, go by at a local auto store, these Freon Boost and redo your air conditioner?
Well, there's a product called AC Pro that you see, and actually I've tried that, and yeah, that it won't hurt. I mean, my team doesn't care for those sorts of things, but hey, it's easy. As far as your brakes, need to flush your brake system and bleed the brake system with a flusher. That will help the brake pedal. Don't ask me why it does. Folks, thanks for tuning in this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Okay, Car Clinic listeners and viewers, mark your calendar, June 24. I'll give away a Super Chips Dash Pack in-cab performance tuner valued, get this, at $450 to $500 depending on your vehicle. Dash Pack is Super Chips' all-new in-cab performance tuner and monitor combo. With coverage for gas and diesel trucks and SUVs, the Dash Pack pairs Super Chips flash tuning technology with a sharp on-dash display for real-time monitoring and performance management. A button interface is used to navigate between the power levels, customized for options like aftermarket tires or gears, and set user-adjustable thresholds for designated engine parameters, including, get this, transmission temperature, EGTs, boost, and more. Whether you're driving a Duramax diesel or an F-150 EcoBoost, Dash Pack delivers countless options to conform so that you have real-time monitoring to accompany performance tuning. Mark your calendars June 24th to call in. A Dash Pack could be yours.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, And by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Count down to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, live via ABC Radio Satellite Services. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Yes, we've had that phone a long time. We also gathered the 888 Car Clinic because that's easier for you to remember. Miss Jan will take your call at 888 227-2546, put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. And I have to say again this hour, happy Father's Day. Tomorrow, guys, it's our day. So for all you fathers out there, well, better yet, for all you daughters and sons out there, tomorrow's Father's Day, so remember that. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by General Tire. Does your car or truck need new tires, but you're just not sure which tire is best? You can check out the Tire Selector at GeneralTire.com. The Tire Selector will allow you to search by vehicle or by tire size. It's way cool, it's easy, and that's the best part about it. You can learn more at GeneralTire.com. Your calls when I come back from this break. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Diablo Sport and the Intune i2 Performance Programmer. Boost your vehicle's power without even opening the hood. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. And folks, if you're driving a Ford, a GM, a Chrysler, or a Jeep product, and you haven't updated the program or reprogrammed your vehicle, you are leaving miles per gallon and horsepower and torque under the hood, but untouched. It's really easy to do. Check it out at DiabloSport.com. Your calls at 888-227-2546 when I come back. Folks, we're testing an Intune i2 Performance Programmer from Diablo Sport and will share feedback and results over the next few months. First is ease of installation. Directions were clear and the setup was easy. The Intune i2 is preloaded with dyno and street-tested performance programs developed specifically for your car or truck, ensuring optimal power and drivability gains. From there, you can then customize a tune tailored to your own performance needs. What a great way to boost power without even popping the hood. Diablo Sport Intune i2 has a fantastic look and now features the latest generation ARM processor for a higher resolution screen and an exceptionally responsive touchpad. You can update your i2 software on virtually any computer. Windows, Mac, Linux, and update times are fast. Even the large updates take no more than 5 minutes. I'll report more to you about the Intune i2 in the coming weeks. In the meantime, check out the i2 for yourself at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com. Time for another question from the Car Clinic inbox. Dear Bobby, I recently had my 2012 Hyundai Sonata serviced, and the dealer mentioned I'm going to be needing tires soon. I haven't shopped for tires in a while. Do you have any recommendations? Well, that was an easy question for me to answer, folks. Since the Hyundai was new just 5 years ago, tire technology has improved greatly. Not just rubber compound and tread design, but features have been added to help both the vehicle owner and mechanic alike assess both vehicle and tire condition. General Tire, for example, now offers many tires that feature both alignment and tread wear indicators built in. These indicators will tell both the novice and the trained eye when the tire needs to be replaced and when the vehicle's out of alignment. Now is an especially good time to be shopping for tires. General Tire is offering up to $70 on a prepaid Visa gift card when you purchase 4 qualifying tires. And with new tires like the G-Max AS05, the selection has never been better. Find your next set of tires at GeneralTire.com. That's GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a question or a concern about your automobile, I'm your man. Just consider me your personal car consultant, and that'll work. That'll work for me, and it'll work for you as well. 888-227-2546. We'll take a call from Arthur, who called in early. Actually, Arthur called in the end of last hour. Didn't have proper time, and I did not want to rush him in and rush him out. Arthur, thank you for holding over. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Oh, thank you very much for letting me hold for so long. But I got a good question for you. This one will rattle your brain.
Oh, okay. They all do. What little brain I have left, yes. My brain's been rattled a lot of times. So let's. You've got the mic. Let's go.
All right, I have a 2008 Town and Country. It can sit for about 10 minutes, especially if it's hot out there and maybe 90 degrees outside. The brakes will freeze up, lock up, even if you don't drive it. And as long as it sits for more than 5 to 10 minutes, the minute you try to shift it into gear, the brakes automatically lock up. I've had it where the ABS unit been replaced. I've had it, the master cylinder been replaced. I had the power booster been replaced. I had the calipers been replaced. Matter of fact, I had everything been replaced. But the minute it heats up, it'll lock up. What's the problem?
That's easy. There's hydraulic pressure that is being trapped, and the only way that hydraulic pressure can be trapped is that it's not getting back. Means the pressure is building up back to the master cylinder or to the proportioning valve. And here's what needs to be done. And Arthur, I'm surprised that you or some shop would throw that many parts at that problem.
That's what I said when I asked to deal with the same question.
Well, yeah, and it's a valid question. That's a heck of a situation to be in. Let me break it down for you. When you press a brake pedal, you're pushing a plunger just like a syringe where someone is putting a needle in your arm. It's the same plunger, and when you let off of the thumb, of course, the plunger gets no more pressure. When you let off of your brake, when you depress the brake pedal, you push on a piston just like a syringe, and that piston pushes fluid out. And because hydraulic fluid it is not compressible like air, you can compress air, but you can't compress liquid. That liquid then pushes the calipers and stops the car. Now, when you let off of the brake, there is a hole in the master cylinder, a port. It's not just a hole, but it's a port. And that port opens up. And when that port opens up, if there's any pressure on the braking side, not on the passenger side, not on your brake pedal, but on the line side, which there is, because otherwise the brakes wouldn't be holding, that pressure is relieved because rather than pushed on the brake calipers or the brake drum, it will push itself back into the reservoir of the brake master cylinder. Now, you said the master cylinder has been replaced. So that tells me that, and I guess my question for you is, when this happens, do you know which wheel or how many wheels are applied? Is it the pair of fronts or the rear, or do you know?
Oh, it fluctuates. Sometimes it's the front, sometimes it's the rear. But the funny thing is, if you put water on the ABS unit part just to cool it down,
right,
the brakes works normal, like nothing is wrong with them. But once it heats back up, you can drive it, no problem. The minute it gets hot, the brakes will lock up. Sometimes in the front will lock up, you can feel the drag in the front, and you let it cool off, you feel the drag in the rear.
Well, I've never heard that. The only time I've ever heard this problem happen is when the wrong fluid was used and someone put oil-based fluid versus brake fluid. See, brake fluid is hygroscopic. If you run out of brake fluid on the highway, say a wheel cylinder were to leak, you could literally block that line off if you could fold it and bend it and use water from a creek. I mean, you could go, anywhere and put water in the brake system. Now, you wouldn't want to do that because you'd have to get the water out, but it would not hurt the system in an emergency situation. But you could not put oil in it because that oil would swell the rubbers because they're different. It's a different type of rubber. And
that's what they assumed we did, so they replaced everything.
Well, they may be right, but what they haven't replaced is the proportioning valve that determines the pressure differential between the front and rear brakes. And that proportioning valve has a seal in it, and if that seal is sticking, then it would cause an erratic behavior. And you just said that you had maybe sometime the front, maybe sometime the rear. How do you know that?
Because they replaced everything we talking about now. They also replaced the proportion valve. They went all in on the thing because we kept taking it back. And that got replaced. They come back, oh, this is wrong with it. No, that's wrong with it. And they kept replacing one thing after the other. They replaced the proportion valve 3 times. They replaced the master cylinder 4 times. They replaced the power booster twice. They replaced the calipers twice. Now it's back up there again.
What about the hoses? What about the hoses that feed the calipers? I mean, here's a point. Whenever we put calipers on a car for any reason, we always put the hose that feeds the caliper, and because that's a rubber part. Here's what could have happened, and it sounds to me like this has happened. Someone put the wrong fluid in that vehicle, and as such contaminated all of the rubber parts. All of the rubber parts mean what? Each of the calipers has a seal, each of the front and rear. The proportion valve has a seal. The ABS has seals. The master cylinder has seals. So everywhere there are seals that have been contaminated, it makes me wonder if maybe the first part that was replaced was the ABS system, and as a result, the fluid wasn't flushed, and as a result, the new ABS system or the new, you see where I'm going? In other words, who would know that it had the wrong fluid? Because originally they diagnosed it as having a master cylinder or an ABS, and you know better than I which part was replaced first. But you don't have all those components you don't have all those components to go bad unless what's common to all those components? The fluid is the only thing common to those components. And then you say you can cool the ABS down. I don't really know how you could cool the ABS down. I mean, if you took a water hose in your driveway, you could cool it down, but you could pour a gallon of water on an ABS system under the hood of a car, and that would be enough water to change the temperature inside that unit.
Well, what we did to get it back up to the dealer, we just put the hose on just the ABS unit itself.
Okay.
And it freed it up, and we drove it right up back to the dealer by the time we got back to the dealer.
Okay, well, here's what I suspect. I suspect that what you did was you gave it time versus cooling the ABS unit down. And in due course, so here's what has to be done. And let's get to the cure part. Here's what has to be done. the car has to lock up, and you can make it do that, right?
I'm listening.
Okay. I mean, you can make it do it, right? You can make it lock up, right?
Just drive it. That's
okay.
Let it sit there.
Good.
for 5-10 minutes.
All right. Then a technician has to go with you, and you make it lock up, and that technician has to go to one of each of the wheels and open the wheel line, like on the caliper, the bleed line, and see where the pressure is. And if there's pressure on the caliper, which there will be because it has to have fluid pressure, then you go to what feeds that. And the easiest thing to do, I say easy because of accessibility, and it's tough on the road out there to do anything. We don't even work on cars on the road. But here's what could be done, and I guess it's going to have to be done. Make the car lock up. Take a line wrench, which all technicians have. Go to the master cylinder when the car's locked up and loosen the line. You've got a front line and a rear line. Loosen one or the other. And if there's pressure coming out of the steel line and that frees up the brakes, you'll know the master cylinder has indeed been locked up, and it's possible, just possible, that the push rod is not coming back to all-way rest. And if the push rod is not coming all the way back, that would cause the same problem. I don't know why that would ever happen, but it has happened in our world. You got it?
Yes. What I'm going to do is call the dealer Monday morning.
All right.
And kind of relay the same message, what you just said to me, and maybe they'll figure it out from this point on.
Hey, if I can help you, that's a unique situation. I feel for you, and you got to know the technicians that are working at the dealership. They feel the same. They feel the same pain. I mean, they're bought in by now with as much work and energy and dollars you spent. I mean, they've got egg on their face right now. But the bottom line is, when you got a problem like that, that's when it separates the men from the boys, and the technicians who are trained. You can't. The word is, don't give up. Stay with it until you find the problem, other than just throwing parts. And the way you do that, again, is to, when the pressure exists that makes the brakes, you got to loosen the line. And if you got pressure, you'll know there's pressure on that particular line. Hey, thanks for your call. We'll take calls now, 888-227-2546 when we come back.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts. And your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with power frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with power frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with power frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with power frame technology inside. Look for power frame on the outside, and know there's true strength on the inside.
Let's dive into another Car Clinic email. Dear Bobby, my vehicle has just gone out of warranty. It has 48,000 miles, and now all maintenance is my responsibility. Can you suggest a maintenance checklist? I'd like to keep this vehicle long-term. Assuming your vehicle is about 4 years old and has just under 50,000 miles on the odometer, we suggest starting with the fluids. Think brake fluid, transmission fluid, and of course coolant. The cooling system is often overlooked. While coolant and cooling systems have evolved through the years, they still need service. Have the cooling system flushed and refilled with a proper antifreeze coolant for your specific vehicle, and inspect all belts and hoses. And don't forget the thermostat and radiator cap. Complete the system service with a new Stant Superstat and a new Stant radiator pressure cap. This is a great way to extend the life of all cooling system components and add reliability to your vehicle. Stant products meet or exceed OE quality in both fit and function. Learn more at Stant.com. That's Stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy.
In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And folks, welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in today. Just remember, every Saturday, as long as I can draw a breath, and I'm drawing a lot of breaths today, from 10 till noon Eastern Time, I come to you on your local AM and or FM radio stations, and also via WatchBobbyLive.com. I really enjoy our time together. I'm going to share with you a little information shortly, not now because we're on the phone with Shane in Texas, and I'm going to share with you information about a gasoline direct injection and a car that we had this week that quite candidly threw us under the bus. Not once, but it threw us. It's like a motorcycle. It threw us under the bus, and then it came back and ran over us again and again and again. So it's those cases that you get occasionally that you never forget. And to that end, it's gotten me into an investigative mode about gasoline direct injection. So let's go to Texas, and then we're going to go to Shannon in Nebraska, and then I'm going to take your calls at 888-227-2546. Shane, let's start with your 2012 F-150. You have a question for me, and thanks for holding.
No problem. I have a upstream O2 sensor that's gone bad on it on the passenger side, and that particular sensor is the one where the wire, the actual plug for the wire, is extremely difficult to get to. And what I'm trying to find out is it acceptable to splice into the existing wires similar to what you do with a universal O2 sensor, since I have heard that a lot of these O2 sensors now breathe through the wires.
They all do. You're exactly right. You heard correctly. And folks, what an O2 sensor does through osmosis is it measures the oxygen that's in the exhaust and versus the oxygen that's in the air. It's an oxygen sensor. And where does it get its oxygen to compare? Actually, you're right, Shane. The air that is inside the sheathing of that cable, that wire, goes all the way to the computer. So it actually draws its air from inside, not from the computer, but from the passenger cabin that is protected environment and not a wet environment. Because the biggest challenge with today's cars is oxidation of wiring and bad grounds and ohms resistance. Ohms resistance is a huge challenge. Now, having said that, you are certainly can cut and splice if you use heat shrink tube, and I would say that you would have to do it properly. I would want you to, rather than making one big lump, well, first, I'd rather you put the real one on there and deal with the fact that it's hard to get to, and that would be my official answer. But if you're not going to do that, then I'll help you do it your way, the right way. So I would cut that wire, and rather than have one splice located, let's say that we've got a 5-inch span of accessibility there. Rather than have 2.5 inches, you cut all 3 wires 2.5 inches right in the middle and put one big clump of splice there. I would like for you to put 2-inch, 1.5 inch, 2.5 inch, 3.5 inch, so that you could have 3 different splices located at 3 different places in the wire with individual small heat shrink tubing with one larger single piece that covers all of them, so that each individual vein would be spliced and heat shrinked together with solder, and then one big simultaneous continuous longer piece that would cover all of them. Can you picture what I'm picturing?
Sure, you're wanting to stagger the cuts instead of making them all at the same location.
Yeah, I wish you'd have said that. You hear this?
Now,
he did a better job than I did. Yeah, stagger the cut, but that way you don't have one big clump
sure.
and in the middle, because that doesn't work and it's hard to seal. And this way you can have a uniform, nice looking. So it's got 3 little bumps, but at least they're all staggered. Yeah. What else?
Sure. Now, you had said to solder them. Is that preferable? Because I had also been told by various people that the preferable way to do it would be to actually crimp the wires as opposed to soldering them together.
Well, I prefer solder when you use the right solder for the wire itself, making sure that you can solder the wire itself. And what you could do, what would be really the easiest? Well, you always test first, like in what the carpenters say: measure twice, cut once.
Yes.
So you might want to unscrew the original O2 sensor and then maybe cut the wire, the original wire, say an inch from a sensor, so that you've got enough wire on the sensor that you can use as a test for solderability. Some wires don't like to be soldered, so what you heard may be correct. And we use, a different solder for different wires, and there's acid core and flux and all those other things. I don't normally do that. Now, having said that, I just replaced, and this is online, an O2 sensor for an '84 Mercedes, and had to, because it goes up into the car through the floorboard, and actually this picture is online, by the way, at Facebook. I had to, and it did come, the oxygen sensor, universal, Bosch, came with a terminal already crimped on it that had a female other end. So if a crimp is good enough for Bosch, it would be good enough for me. So what we did was, and you can go to you ought to go to Facebook and look at my pictures and find that, because now that I think about it, we actually did use a crimp, and then you can actually see this nice looking little bump that's crimped through the deformity of the red heat shrink that we use. That's about 2 inches long, and it's covering a half-inch piece. But we had to make sure that O2 sensor that's exposed to the atmosphere doesn't get wet and oxidized. So you're on the right track, and you've got it. You're going to do a good job. So look at that picture of crimping. Crimping is okay, and maybe that might be if you get the right crimp. The problem with crimping is most crimps have the Teflon around the outside versus the naked metal part.
Yes.
And it is too fat. You don't want all that. You want you want the guts out of the smallest amount of crimp that you can make, and then you produce your own plastic part, which is your individual staggered heat shrink, and then your one big tube that goes over all of it, and then your double safety there. You got it, man.
Outstanding. Well, Ford supposedly has serviceability engineers that get to look at things. They obviously overlooked this.
You're telling me about engineers? When engineers die, the bad ones, or the ones that for some reason deserve the worst treatment, they should have to work on the cars that they've engineered when they were alive.
I completely agree with that. Okay. Well, thank you for your help on that, and have a great day.
Thank you, Shane. Great call, man. Yes, we'll take a call from Nebraska. Shannon in Nebraska. And folks, we'll take your call at 888-227-2546. Miss Shannon, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Bobby. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah. Thanks for calling back. I knew you were in the queue earlier, but you had to go, obviously.
Well, it was partially that, but I think my cell phone cut out.
Oh, it's okay. Well, you're with me now.
I was in the process of looking for other horsepower. We had a lost horse, and I was trying to find it. We finally found it. But anyhow, my daughter's Avalanche is a 2004, and she takes excellent care of it. However, the black, I don't know what you want to call it, trim.
Yeah. I'm familiar. You know, Shannon, when that vehicle first came out, and a friend of mine, Billy Tibbetts in Gulf Breeze, Florida, owns one of those, and we've serviced it since new. And I'll tell you, when it first came out, I said, that is really neat. What's it going to look like in 2 years? Because it's plastic. You know, it's a composite of some kind. Now, having said that, other aftermarket companies also said, what a great opportunity for us, and they make products to restore the black.
Yes. She's bought a couple, and it hasn't held up very well.
Well,
and there's so many on the shelves, and you just don't know
3M.
Which to try.
3M.
3M?
A friend of mine works with 3M. He's a car guy. He's got a '68 Chevelle, and Larry and he sent me a bottle of that. And on my Porsche, which is my collector car, it has a whale tail and it has a black rubber wraparound surround, and it's original. I liked for it to be original. And but it faded, and I tried everything, and of course you can't put any dash cover on it, you know, because that's oily and it runs down and it streaks the paint, and so you don't use that on the exterior of any car. Having said that, I put the 3M black on there, and it was so easy and it worked so well, it blew my mind. I was really surprised, and to this day, this has been 4 or 5 years. Now, the car doesn't sit outside, granted. It sits inside because I prefer it, and it's a collector's car. But nonetheless, if I had an Avalanche, that's what I would use, 3M. And I'm not sure where you can buy that. You might check O'Reilly Auto Parts and ask for the 3M brand of Black Restore, and you can put one coat on it and another coat, and it comes with a little pad applicator, and that stuff works.
Oh, good. Well, she'll be glad to hear that, and hopefully that'll make it look just like new, because it looks pretty good as it is.
Yeah. You need that. Yeah. Hey, thank you for calling, and always. Where you live, in Kearney?
Yes.
Well,
we just got finished with the car show here.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Jerry and also his sidekick Brad Kernick. And we had them both on the air, and I heard it was a great show this year. Was it 20? Is it 27 years? Seems like to me.
Yeah, I think so. This year was bigger, even. I think it was really.
Well, that's what you get when you do something right. It gets better and better. Shannon, thank you so much for calling, and stay well and take care of your car. Let me know how that works for you. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. 888-227-2546. 888 Car Clinic. So I mentioned earlier about an experience that we had. This was a gasoline direct injection, and I will give you in this short period of time before we have a break, and I come back from the break, I'll tell you the rest of the story. I see that Larry's in the queue, and now's a good time, the time for you to get in, because the last segment's coming up. 888-227-2546. My good friend Eric Reitman really came to my rescue this week. I'll tell you about the gasoline direct injection problems that we solved. Stay tuned. We recently had the opportunity to work on a 2005 F-150. The vehicle owner was complaining about brake noise. His pads and shoes were not terribly old, but did have some miles on them. He's in the delivery service business, which puts his vehicle through a lot of stop-and-go traffic. This works the brakes really hard and can often lead to glazing and excessive brake dust. After performing a visual inspection, we cleaned the brakes using Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner. It's the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is designed to stop brake squeal. It's the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner available and dries completely without residue. As part of the process, we were sure to clean the pivot and shoe pad contact points along with the brake spring hardware and self-adjuster mechanisms. Brake dust gets everywhere, and a proper cleaning on an annual basis will lead to longer brake life and better brake performance. Learn more about the new Berryman Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to today's broadcast. A lot of fun today and a lot of strange, electronics and computers and what have you. I mean, it's a car show, right? Is it? Well, yeah, autonomous cars and electric cars and we could talk about camshafts and fuel and those sorts of things as well. Let's talk about oil. Let's go to Walter in Texas. Walter, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Walter.
Yes.
You're on the air.
My wife has a 2012 Honda Accord V6. It doesn't get driven a lot.
Okay.
It's got about 30,000 miles on it. And I keep watching for the little wrench to come up and tell me it's time to change oil. I don't think it's been changed in the past year.
I hear you. Well,
so my question, I guess, is I drive older vehicles and I just write down what the mileage was and change the oil in 3,000 to 5,000 miles, depending on the vehicle.
Right.
I call the Honda dealer and they say just watch for the little wrench. Is that the way it should be?
Well, that oil monitor, oil change light uses algorithms, and it measures using algorithms, nothing to do with the oil. Well, it has to do with the oil, but it doesn't touch the oil. It tells the computer that this vehicle, this engine, has been cranked so many times and run from a cold stand to a warm stand. It's been up to operating temperature and been under a wide open throttle or partial throttle so many times. And it collates all this information and determines from the algorithms, a formula, what the condition of the oil. Having said that, under no circumstances should you go beyond a year because she's obviously not driving much, and condensation is a factor, and that unit doesn't measure condensation. So by all means, you should set an anniversary. Hey, you should remember your wedding anniversary and say, okay, now I'm going to change your oil for you. Don't tell her I said that.
I guarantee you I'll remember that. I've been married 57 years, going on 58.
Then there you have it. We solved that problem. Change the oil on your anniversary, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Thank you, Walter.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah, thank you for your help. Thanks for holding back, for calling back. I knew you were there for a while. We're going to go to Mark. Mark, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, thank you, Bobby. Love your show.
Thank you.
I have a question that maybe you can help me with. I've heard you reference you have a classic Porsche, and it sounds like you're a big fan. And I have a 79 Porsche 911 Targa.
Okay.
has, 260,000 miles on the car, but I've been the same owner now for 17 years.
Right.
And I'm interested in selling it. And I'm just wondering if you could give me a little advice on how best to do that.
Porsche Club of America would be, and see if there's a local chapter in your hometown.
There is.
Okay, then I would definitely start there. I would talk. Number one, that's a small niche market, as you know. And it's ironic that you should ask me, because for the last 5 years I've run hot and cold every other month, because I've had my car since 1986, and it's as new. I restored it, and it is drop dead gorgeous. And I'll think about selling the car because I don't drive it, and I choose not to drive it. And then I'll say, well, what if I sold it? I would, whatever money it would bring, I'd put in the bank, and I just, quite candidly, I love to show the car off, and I think the car is appreciating more than any money that I would have in the bank from the car at this time. But if the right person came along, and I've got a figure that I want for my car, and it's a conservative figure, because we all want more for our own car than it's probably worth, because we have that attachment to it and we think it's worth a lot until we want to buy a car. But I would start with the Porsche Club of America. For me, I intend to, and wanted to this year, but I missed it, to take the car to Amelia Island to a Porsche event where true Porsche files would see my car and appreciate what it is, because mine was one of 406. It's a Weissach, which is the proving grounds in Germany. Only 406 were imported into the States in 1980. So if that helps, that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was a little curious about your opinion on some of the well-known auctions, down in Southern California or the Bay Area or Arizona, if one should get involved with that.
Well, I've also had from Mecum, I've had John, and I forget his last name now. He's on our site, but I've had him on the air, and he said, whenever you're ready, Bobby, I can, I'll help you. He did tell me that it's best to, and you pay for, you pay to show the car, and then you pay a percentage of whatever it brings to the auction, and then there's a reserve and a no reserve. He's a big fan of having a reserve because he believes that builds more value in the car, and you're not at the mercy of some hot dogs out there that can, maybe they're a couple of 3 people working the floor. I don't know how that works. For a short period of time, I was exposed in the car business for a very short period of time, and I learned what I don't know, and it cost me a lot of money. So I'm not familiar, nor do I wish to be in that arena. Having said that, I would tend to go with either Mecum or RT or whatever company is in alignment with Amelia Island, and those type of companies that are a little bit higher echelon than maybe the Arizona companies, or and I'm not familiar with the West Coast companies. But where do you live, by the way?
I live in Vancouver, Washington, just across the river from Portland, Oregon.
Well,
and listen to you on KBMP Radio, AM 1410.
That's great. Well, I'm glad to hear you, and thank you for giving me that information. One of the things that that I would do is I would check with the local Porsche, and then I would go from there and make a determination as to what that car might be worth. Number one, the first thing you have going against the car is the mileage. And my car has 98,766, and but that doesn't mean anything because it's in better shape now than it was at 90,000 or it was at 80. But
yeah, I can say the same thing. I've the tune-up. I've had the compression is excellent. I've had it had the upgrade, the Carrera upgrade done to it, and maintained it just impeccably with the same service shop for 17 years.
Wow. Did you
had it painted, and it's looking real good.
That's great.
And as you know, these cars have gone up greatly in value.
They really have, especially the air-cooled, as I understand. Did you have the timing chain tensioner oil upgrade? Yes. Yeah.
That's the upgrade. Yeah.
And
so,
did you ever have any cylinder stud upgrades, or did you not have problems with those?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was an issue that 79 and 80 Porsches had, and the 80 came out with a special, and I forget the name of it, but special steel stud. And after the 9 years that my car was out of commission and I restored it, I had to replace the studs. Other than that, my engine is basically virtually unchanged from the factory, and it is drop dead gorgeous. I have pictures inside. It still has a crosshatch on the cylinder walls. Just absolutely gorgeous. So do this, Mark, and I'm so glad you called. Check with the Porsche Club of America there on the West Coast, and then let me put you back on hold, and give John your email address, and we'll stay in communication with emails.
Okay, I have your email address. I went to your website for the first time, so I can contact you.
Okay, well,
if that works.
Yeah, that's fine. Do that. Okay. That sounds great, man. I appreciate that and love to hear from you.
Okay. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank
I sure
you, Mark.
appreciate your show and all your good work.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your kind words. Let's go to Stan, and then we're going to go to Jeff in New York. Stan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, sir.
I just had to call when you were talking to the fellow about the electric motors.
Yes.
And I was trying to think of a way to put it. One of the things that I can tell you, you recall, my profession is electronic engineering, so I've been involved with these things for a long time. Perhaps it's remember the Wankels and how many RPM those things would go.
Yes.
Well, a reason that they were able to do that is they don't have any reciprocating motion, right?
Right.
Everything goes in the same direction. If you could get your dragsters to go to 15,000 RPM, you would love it, right?
Right.
But they explode before they got there.
Yes.
Well, an electric motor doesn't have any reciprocating motion, so it just goes round and round. And it also has a unique feature of maximum torque is available at 0 RPM, locked rotor.
Right.
So they could burn the rear tires off of a car if you're not careful. So they have a control system, an electronic control system that controls the fields or the arm, depending on which they adjust. And you can get incredible RPM. You could get 20,000 RPM if you wanted it. There is a racing formula called Formula E, which is not autonomous. It's got real drivers in it.
Right.
It's racing now in its second or third year. And one guy tried a transmission with one gear, but they've taken it out now. So they just run straight. These electric motors are amazing what they do, as you've observed with, I don't know if you've seen the drag strip test between the Tesla and the 700 horsepower Charger.
I have.
But
yes.
But the Tesla takes off like crazy, and the Charger tries its hardest to catch it. So the electric motors have great RPM range because everything's going in the same direction, around in circles.
So do you know if the I series of the i8 of the BMW, because they talked about having top speed and still have plenty of torque at top speed, do you know if they're controlling the field and the voltage, or if it has some type of a multiplier?
No, you don't need a multiplier because you got all that torque.
Okay. So how do you?
And I watched that program.
All right. So if you got all that torque at low RPM, how do you maintain that torque at 10,000 RPM?
Well, it's as you'll recall, if you've done dyno work, you get torque out of the dyno.
Right.
You convert it to horsepower.
Right.
And what it is these electric motors, you can, as you control the current and the voltage, you can control that exactly how you want it. So the torque just continues at some level right on up through the RPM range, and eventually it will explode. This side of 100,000 RPM.
Well, yeah, sure.
Build it that strong.
Yeah, it's limited. Yeah.
Now you saw how strongly they built that i8 motor.
Yes.
So that the windings wouldn't touch each other and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's what hurt it. That's what hurts them, is actually torque on those windings moving around.
Mm-hmm.
So they make sure that they don't move around.
Yeah, it was quite unbelievable. What did you think about the music behind that horrible?
I wasn't as irritated as you were.
I was. It was. I watched that one. After watching 3 of those episodes, I said, "Hey, I'm done here," and I got to take a call from New York. But thanks so much, Stan, for your input. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Let's go to New York now and talk to Jeff. Jeff, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding, sir.
Hey, thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome.
It's a sad day up here today. I've got my cylinder head sitting on my desk.
Oh, what's that off of?
It's an off of a 3-cylinder Iveco diesel New Holland tractor.
Oh, well, what's wrong with the cylinder head?
Well, nothing that I know of right now. I took it off for other reasons, but I'm looking in here at the valves. I found out when I went to take my intake valve. Just I'm not real happy with the quality of what I saw. They somewhere along the line, somebody had pinched that valve during installation, and so I had to machine it down a little bit to get it out of the guide. And then I want to clean up my valve seats.
Oh, you mean
you ought to see?
You mean the groove at the top?
The keeper. The keeper. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You had to take a file and turn it and
Dremel and dress it up so I can get it out without scratching.
But it wasn't the rocker or that flattened or mushroomed it.
Well, I don't know. At only 180 hours, this thing had stuck valve rods.
Ooh.
It was going boom, 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 boom.
Oh, popping me up. Wow.
Yeah. So 180 hours on a new, and we can talk about old cars and my old minivan and the old Porsche and my F-150 with 270,000.
Right.
This thing's unbelievable. 180 hours. Bangs. Then push rods.
Wow.
300 hours later, here I am with the cylinder head off of it. I'm looking at my valve seat, and I just polished one of them up with some lapping compound. I'm going to take some pictures of this other one before I do. I'm going to take you on a visual tour real fast from 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Straight down.
Okay. Let me say this, because we're at the end of the second hour.
It's going to be fast.
Okay.
This thing's hammered. This thing is hammered. Got ridges in it, pits. Unbelievable. It is just beat to pieces.
Are they all that way or just one?
I'm going to say all of the exhaust valves were pretty much the same.
Well, of course, you cannot reuse those valves. You're going to have to pull that head completely apart, take it to a machine shop, regrind the seats, and put new valves, because the new valves will come coated with some kind of material, and there may be stellite coatings on the seat as well. We need to have a longer conversation than what we have now, because I'm out of time. But I'm really interested in what you're doing, and so let's get back together again. And I see that from Texas, I have another call on a hybrid. But folks, next week, same time, same station. I'm Bobby Likis. I appreciate all your calls, your confidence, and have great loads of fun. I'll see you then.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
This Tire Maintenance Minute is brought to you by General Tire and the G-Max AS03, the ultra-high-performance, all-season tire that delivers precise response in dry and wet conditions. The G-Max AS03 features a V-shaped pattern with aqua-cleave groove elements that help channel water out of the tread for excellent resistance to hydroplaning. Your tire sidewall has numbers, but what do they mean? Take max cold inflation pressure, for example. This number isn't necessarily what you should inflate your tires to, but rather the maximum pressure the tire was designed to hold. It's the vehicle manufacturer that determines optimal tire inflation pressure to keep their vehicle performing at its best. In most cases, you can find the manufacturer's recommended pressure on a decal in the driver's door jamb, the glove box, or the fuel door. Proper inflation will result in longer tire life, increased tread mileage, and a safer ride. Drive to GeneralTire.com to learn more about the G-Max AS03, featuring patented interlocking 3D sipe technology. The tread blocks work together to improve handling and reduce heat for increased tread life. Learn more at GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you Ricey Outfitters. I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Fortress Mountain, grow now you're here. Your aroma